will be Heather Spraker from Cayuga Milk. And Heather is going to talk to us today about facilities using labs for multiple purposes. So it's all yours, Heather, whenever you're ready.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, Heather.
Oh my gosh, good. Like, what is going on? All right, let me try this again. All right, we're going to try this again. Can everybody hear me this time?
You're all good. I can hear you
All
and
right,
see
you can see the
everything.
slides and everything. Sorry, I thought I was so prepared and obviously not quite. So, all right. So I got a call from Donna one day requesting that I present on the topic of using labs in a facility for multiple purposes. I really had no idea what direction to take this in. And she didn't seem very sure either. But the more that I thought about it, there aren't many people outside of the actual quality departments in facilities that really truly know all the different things that we're doing. So I'm just going to go over the responsibilities of the lab and the quality department in my facility. I realize this will be different for almost everyone, depending on the size of your organization, how many plants you have, and how many different departments you kind of have that are involved in quality and regulatory. In our facility, most of it falls on the quality department in the lab. I think there are a lot of facilities that follow that same structure. Okay, so this is our plant. It is Cayuga Milk Ingredients. It's located in Auburn, New York. We've been open for about 7 years now, and we manufacture dairy ingredients that are utilized all over the world. So how did we get started? Cayuga Milk Ingredients is farmer owned. So 30 of our 31 Cayuga marketing members decided that they were going to build a plant. And they followed kind of the mantra of high quality. We try to specialize in dairy powders, and we go after more than just the commodity market in dairy powders. The farmers are passionate about innovation and producing the highest quality milk we can. We're committed to animal welfare, sustainability, and we try to add family-owned farm value to every product that we make. Our farms do average around 136,000 somatic cell count annually, which does make my life as a quality director a little easier here. One of the main reasons they decided to build the plant was to use it as a solution to lower their hauling costs. We're a state-of-the-art facility with cutting-edge technologies. We do use ultrafiltration and RO. We have 2 evaporators and 1 compact dryer. The facility itself is around 115,000 square feet after our last addition. When they built it, they designed it to be easily expanded. We do run 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. That's the beauty of the farmers owning the plant, is we always have to take the milk whether we want it or not. We do process around 1.9 million pounds of milk per day. This is a little outdated. I think we're up to 93 permanent jobs right now. We are CDEX approved. I don't know how many people are familiar with that, but that's kind of a people welfare audit that a lot of our customers require. We are SQF level 3. We have regulatory oversight from New York State Ag and Markets, the FDA, and USDA. And our farms do have 100% compliance with the Farm Animal Welfare Program. So what do we make here at CMI? We ship out a lot of liquid bulk ingredients. So that would be cream, milks of various fat levels, condensed milks. We do protein concentrates in liquid or powder form of different values. We do make non-fat dry milk and skim milk powder. So that would be standard quality and infant quality. And we do produce low, medium, and high heat powders. So the liquid and powder blends, we use an inline standardizer. And all of our ingredients are grade A, kosher, and halal. And we do have some farms and products available that are GMO project verified. So what is the basic function of an in-facility lab? So the basic functions are ingredient testing, finished product testing, in-process monitoring. So if we're batching or anything else, testing it as they go to make sure we're headed in the right direction. And the big thing is to provide information and support to our operations team in a timely manner so that they can use the information to make decisions. However, the lab is involved in so much more than just that. So the expectations of quality in the plant are constantly changing. I've been around long enough now to remember the pre-SQF GFSI days when, you know, that big retailer came through and told us all that we were going to get on board with SQF, and we all did it. So we kind of scurried around and we were creating documents and policies and procedures to be compliant with the audit. Some of it already existed in the plants. A lot of it was being done, but wasn't being documented properly. But I think SQF was definitely the start of quality departments in plants and lab technicians being responsible for a lot more than just in-process and finished product testing. As time goes on, we had, you know, FSMA come along and added lots of supplier things we had to pay attention to. So I feel like it's always moving a little bit. All of the requirements have definitely made us much better facilities. I think the food supply is definitely much safer since we've started all of this. I don't know if it is this way in every facility, but in the ones that I've worked in, every time a new program comes out, it kind of falls on the lab and the quality department to figure it out. How do we become compliant? And then what kind of systems do we have to develop to maintain that compliance? For us, we do ship all over the world, literally everywhere. And every country that we talk about shipping to has a different, you know, set of tests that they require, different regulations for shipping there. So I think customers are truly what drive where our quality programs and testing programs go. Some of it is regulatory, but most of it comes from the customers. They know that they're becoming more and more savvy on food safety and quality. They don't want an ingredient that they put into their finished product to cause a recall for them. So they require more and more of us as time goes on. The other thing that affects us a lot is the trend is to bring more testing in-house all the time. In-house testing usually comes with cost savings, definitely comes with quicker results. Quicker results, you know, allow for real-time decisions in the plant with equipment or cleaning, whatever it be. And also the quicker we get results, the quicker we can release the products we make, which results in less warehouse space needed, less product on hand. So then we have all of the other additional duties. I kind of just made them in an overview, and we'll go into more of them in depth as we go on. But a lot of the testing that labs conduct, it kind of feeds off of the last presentation. We do a lot of testing of the plant environment. So we want to make sure that our plant and environment that we're making products in isn't leading to contamination of our finished products. So we have programs for environmental swabbing. We're swabbing for pathogens and indicators. The idea is for us to find problems before they become real problems in our finished product. We conduct air testing weekly. So that would be not only room air testing, but also compressed air testing. So anytime air touches the product, we want to test it to make sure that it is microbiologically clean, so that we're not actually contaminating the product by trying to use air to move it around. And we do set room air settling plates just to make sure that the ambient air in the room is not adding to any of our problems either. We also conduct weekly water testing of all the different types of water that we use in the plant. So it would be all of our point of use waters, just to make sure that those are clean and that they're not going to add any problems for our products. So then the lab technicians also participate in some of our quality programs in the facility. It could be supplier approval, they could be testing incoming ingredients, reviewing documents that come in with incoming ingredients to make sure that the COAs are all in compliance, things like that. As a powder testing plant, we do some kind of unique things that a lot of other facilities don't. We're required to do a lot of pathogen testing on our finished products. So those routinely get sent out to third-party labs. So every morning, the product that we made the previous day, the lab technicians will get it all ready, do all the submission paperwork for the lab, and then get it ready for shipping so that we can get those results from the third-party lab and get the product released and get it to our customers. One of the most important things that we do, so we do all of this testing, get all the data, you got data for days, right? Spreadsheets with data. But if we don't put that data into a form where we can see trends and we can see what's happening in the facility, and especially to pass it on to our operations counterparts and stuff, where they're just not interested in hearing about all our tests and everything. They just want to know how it affects them and how it affects the product. So we do a lot of reports, taking our data and putting it into, kind of user-friendly forms so that the people who need it can actually use it to make decisions on an everyday basis. Okay. So we generate certificates of analysis for every product that we make. Those go with the shipment to our customers. So the lab technicians are actually the people who make those reports. They do the testing and make the report and make sure it gets to the right people to go with the shipment. All of our products in the facility are created on hold. So once all the test results are in and we make the COA then gets passed on to either myself or our quality specialist. We'll go through the COA, check it against all the lab results, make sure everything's in spec, and then we have to physically go into our inventory management system and release it so that the shipping department can send it to the customers. So the lab also we lead the verification validation charge in the plant. So that could look like a lot of different things. It could be paperwork review, it could be ATP swabs of equipment, it could be environmental swabs, depending on what program you're talking about. We do all of the testing and review to make sure that what we're doing is working properly. All right, so we all know, if nothing else that's come about, if we didn't document it, it never happened. So not only do we make all of our records from testing, but we have to maintain them and store them and make sure that we have them always accessible for when we need them, when regulatory people come in or auditors, or if you had a product recall or anything else and we had to pull the documents quickly. So you can collect all of the data in the world, but if you don't do anything with it, it's never going to help you. All right, so then specifically talking about the lab technicians here at Cayuga Milk, we have a variety of different experiences and degrees within the lab. the majority of our lab technicians do have a 2 or 4 year science degree of some kind, but we don't require it. New lab technicians are trained on shift through a shadowing program. So when a new technician comes in, they'll go through some kind of facility overview training, safety and some quality trainings, just for working in a food plant, GMPs, hand washing. But other than that, they come into the lab and they'll shadow one of our senior lab technicians to kind of learn the job until they're ready to go off on their own, and then we'll put them on shift. So ongoing training, as quality consistently changes and new things come up in the industry, our lab technicians are constantly undergoing new trainings. It's important as the quality group that we kind of have to be well versed in all things food safety. It's kind of the lead by example. So all of the lab technicians undergo HACCP training, GMP training. It's very important so that we can assist the plant in their decisions and possible new products and processes. So if we don't have the right training, we can't provide the support to our operations team that they need. In our facility, we do have 3 labs. I'll go over that a little bit in a few slides. So cross training between the lab techs is extremely important to ensure that we always have enough coverage to keep the labs going. In our plant, we do participate in shift change meetings. So every shift change, everyone on the floor gets together in a quick 20-minute meeting. So every Friday is our quality training. So the lab technicians will actually provide quality training to the rest of the plant staff. And it's a rotating list of topics, everything from GMPs and HACCP, allergens, anything that's going on. And it kind of provides us a nice outlet. If we're seeing issues in the plant, we do have that where we can be like, okay, I know exactly what this week's shift training is going to be because I've seen a few color coding violations and we've had some new employees or whatever it may be. All right, so here at CMI, we do have 3 labs. We have a raw lab that tests all our incoming raw milk. We have the main lab, which tests in process and finished products. And then we also have a certified lab that does our farm testing for us. So first one I'll talk about is the raw lab. So in a milk drying facility, raw milk is one of our only ingredients. There aren't many things that we do to it besides, not many things we add to it. So it's incredibly important that the raw milk that comes into the facility is of the highest quality. The raw lab technician performs all of our screening tests before we accept the milk into the building. So, and that includes DMC, titratable acidity. They do all our drug residue screening. We do test for beta-lactam, sulfa, and tetracycline. We ship a lot of our product to the EU, and they require us to test all of those. So once they do all the testing, all of that data is input into our software program so that the information is accessible to everyone. That information could be used up in the front lab, logistics, finance, operations, everybody's after all of the data. So they all have their own usernames and they can go in and see the different parts of it that they need. The raw lab technicians, we do try and keep raw in the raw area. So they're the ones that conduct GMP inspections in the raw areas of the plant. They'll titrate sanitizers and dipper wells, things like that, to make sure that we're not contaminating any of our products. All right, so we also have a certified lab. It is a Section 6 lab. We do producer payment testing for our farms. So in there we test for components, bacteria, antibiotics. We do have a separate website for that lab where all of our farms have direct access to get real-time results. So the machines upload the data to the website and they can go on and see their own farm. We also have it set up so they can see, they're very competitive, we've learned. So we do an overview where they can see how they compare to the average of the group. So the Section 6 lab at CMI started back in 2017. We have 2 lab technicians that work in that lab. They run the certified lab 7 days a week, just during the day shift. So having this testing here on site, it kind of gives us a unique opportunity to control quality and other elements of the incoming milk. We have direct access to the farms, and we're always in contact with them long before the tanker arrives at the plant. Sometimes there's a little bit too much direct access when they don't like the results that we're reporting. They know exactly how to get a hold of me and ask questions. But it does kind of, we have a unique situation where we're so intertwined that we can get a lot done on the raw milk side when we're having any sort of issue. All right, so the main lab here at CMI, so they're the lab that will test most of our in-process things, finished product testing. They are the ones that will participate more in quality systems kind of programs because they're the ones that are right here. So there's 5 lab technicians and a quality specialist in this lab. They cover this lab 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Daily tasks that they do could include running line samples to ensure that equipment is working properly. They provide real-time results to production that allows production to make adjustments to equipment as it's needed. They also conduct our finished product analytical and microbiological testing for our certificates of analysis. So we're doing indicator micro testing here. As I said before, the pathogen testing does get sent out to a third-party lab. So they handle sending those samples out to the third-party lab for the pathogen testing. When we batch products here, we do make some custom blends for different people. This is the lab that will conduct the testing as operations is going to make sure that we stay in spec with the blend for the customer. Paperwork review, so they'll do a lot of the paperwork review from the plant. We have production charts, batching sheets, cleaning checklists, things like that. So they're reviewing that stuff to make sure that it got filled out right and everything was done properly. This lab also reviews the incoming milk testing results from the raw lab, and they are the final sign off on any batch or blend that we make to show that it's in spec before we load it out onto a trailer. So our main lab also does all of our environmental testing. So that would be our environmental swabbing, room air testing, and compressed air testing. Here in this facility, we do make milk powder. So we test weekly for Salmonella, Listeria, and Chronobacter. And we also have an indicator testing program where we are testing EB. So the actual environmental swabbing is really just the beginning of our environmental control program. So that is just making sure that our environmental control program is actually working. So that's where we would do our, room air testing, compressed air testing. We do GMP audits to ensure that our hygiene zones in the plant are maintained. So we call them red lines here. We have between different hygiene zones in the plant, we have red lines, which require hand washing and footwear changes. So the lab techs will go out and do GMP audits to make sure that people are using the red lines right, that we have, soap and paper towels and everything we need, shoe covers available at all of the hygiene zones as we need them. So we've already kind of talked about this. Oops. Generating reports for production, creating COAs, and releasing products. That would all be done in our main lab. All right, so besides the day-to-day things, what else falls upon the quality department? So we maintain the SQF program and all of our quality programs. We are the contact for all customer audits. So usually each customer will audit us at least annually. Some are a little more or less depending on what they're using the product for. But it does work out to a lot of customer audits. We usually have a couple a month at least. We're the contact for regulatory inspections and their sampling. So we have New York State Ag and Markets and USDA come in routinely to do inspections and collect samples. And we do all of the paperwork review in the plant for our CCPs especially. So here it would be pasteurization and metal detection, and the antibiotic testing documentation gets reviewed as well. So SQF has evolved over the years. I worked in industry, and then I left for 7 years and worked for regulatory. So coming back, it kind of surprised me how much SQF had actually changed. It does require a lot of time to manage the program and keep it current. So some of the things that we do with that would be internal audits of the facility, making sure that not only the plant itself gets audited, but also our quality programs. In our plant, the quality department is the lead in the SQF program. Some things that come from that is our document control system, which would be numbering new versions of documents and tracking all changes, inspecting documents that are in use to make sure that people are using the correct versions of the documents and they haven't pulled some old version off of somebody's desktop somewhere. So some of the other things we do is real-time review of our pasteurization charts, metal detector checks, antibiotic testing, silo storage charts. We have to make sure that all the product is being held at the proper temperature and used within the time frames of the PMO. Organizing and storing all our documents. It's important to be able to access all the documents quickly. So some of the other big picture things would be continuous improvement in the facility. So continuous improvement is essential for a facility to maintain success. The quality department kind of champions this effort. We work with other departments to ensure that continuous improvement is always a constant in the facility, that people are always working on it. We track any non-conformances and action items from audits as they come about. Make sure every non-conformance gets a full root cause analysis. So we work with other plant departments on that to make sure that if we do have a problem, that we do everything we can do to make sure it doesn't happen again. We do revisit all of our non-conformances on a schedule. So once we think we've identified the root cause and fixed the problem, we come back in 30 days and look at it again. And then in 6 months and 1 year to ensure that we've actually found the root cause and stopped the problem. Consumer complaints. So we, the quality department, would be the ones to initiate any investigation into a consumer complaint. So we take the complaint, We share it with the other departments, and then we work as a team to gather any documentation, investigate the complaint, verify that it's actually a valid complaint, and then perform a root cause analysis to ensure that corrective actions are taken, and then to generate a response for our customer. So then customer specific tasks that we do. As I said before, customers truly are what drive our quality initiatives. They're constantly requiring new things and programs to ensure that they get the highest quality product that they can. So one of the things would be when a customer comes out with their own specification for a finished product, we would have to review that along with our R&D department, just to make sure that we can make it and we can make it consistently for the customer before we sign on to do it. As I said before, customer audits. So they vary anywhere from one auditor who's only here for a couple hours to we've had 3 auditors over 3 days for a couple customers, and kind of a mix of everything in between. They come in and audit our food quality and food safety systems, and then they'll do an in-plant audit. Customer documentation requests take up a lot of time. So as time goes on, customers want statements on everything you could imagine, from banned substances to GMOs, additives, adulteration, allergens, bioengineering, the California Transparency Act, food defense. There's just so many, and there's always kind of a hot topic where it'll come up somewhere. Someone will have a recall on something, and then every customer we have will request a statement on that problem to know where we're at with it. So then we also have assisting our friends in regulatory. So the quality department works closely with our New York State inspector all the time. They're in a lot for inspections and pasteurizer inspections and sampling. So we would work with them for that. And then we also have USDA comes in and they do a plant inspection and pull samples. And then every once in a while we get a visit from FDA to do a plant inspection. So how do we keep it all where we're getting it all done? It's just a lot of tracking and making sure that different things are done on deadlines. Some things are done with spreadsheets. We do have a lot of software that helps us along. We just implemented a new kind of whole plant quality system software. It's still in the implementation phases, but it'll cover everything from incoming raw milk to batching and blending finished products. And it also incorporates all of our quality systems and inspections. So we're pretty excited about that to get it up and running. But with the lab tech tasks, the biggest thing is just assigning it. We usually assign it to one person for a certain amount of time, and then we rotate through to other lab technicians so that everybody gets trained on it and stays current. Some things are daily tasks. Those would go on like a check sheet to make sure it's getting done every day. And then weekly assignments would be actually assigned to individual technicians. But that is about all I have today. So I don't know if anyone has any questions.
Is there any questions for Heather? I have a question, Heather.
Mhm.
What do you think your best resource is for like training? Because you're all over the place with all different types of testing, and you can bring in an analyst, but they may not know how to do all of that. I mean, do you look at it's mostly done from inside, like you guys try to train your own staff, or do you go somewhere else for help?
A lot of it we do in-house. We send people to Cornell courses all the time. We'll put that plug in there. We've also done some, I actually just went to a dry dairy plant sanitation course that was put on by the Dairy Innovation Center. They've got some really great trainings that they do out and about. But it comes from all over.
Thank you. I'm seeing some in the chat. I don't know if you've looked in there, but there's a couple questions.
The new software we're implementing is called Safe Food 360. I don't know if anyone else here has any insight on that. Brian. So our environmental testing, we're doing swabs, and they're getting sent out to a third-party lab. They're doing rapid methods. And I don't know what your verification testing. So all that's being sent out.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Heather, this is Brian.
Okay.
I misunderstood you. I thought you said your lab did the environmental sampling in-house.
No.
Okay, I misunderstood. So I then disregard the question. I misunderstood
Okay.
on my side. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's all getting sent out.
Okay.
Any other questions?
All right, well, if there's no other questions, we can put up Heather's QR code.